Okay. Hi, and my name is Gáspár Hajdu. I'm really happy to be here, and thanks for the invitation. And that's my face and my current feelings. So, as Andy said, I'm an architect, but I'm working with creative technology lately, and I'm also a founder of Sorcerer, which is a technology lab, creative technology lab. And what will happen here, I will have a brief introduction about myself, what I learned, what's the timeline, and then I will show some projects, and through those projects I will still talk about myself, but through the projects. Okay, so let's go on. So, how this architecture and architecture studies and art and tech comes together, that's always a question for me, and it's a really interesting topic because architecture is it's an interesting profession because it's partially engineering, and on the other hand is kind of a design and artistic practice. So, and I found later that art and tech, as you see, is partially art and partially tech, so it's engineering and art and design. So these two things are kind of can have similarities in it, and I was really interested how I can connect these things together, and I found that it's interesting because the design methodology I learned as an architect can be applied really well into art and tech projects because of their complexity, because how they layer technology, design visuals, how they do all this stuff like in a creative technology installation or art installation, how they layer on top of each other, how they reach their complexity. The same design principles or methodology can be drawn from architecture for me, actually. And another interesting part is if an artistic piece or if it's an art tech installation, how applied this solution or installation and how artistic it is. So that's also two sides. So if it's an applied solution or more like an artistic direction and how these can create novel experiences. So that's let's go into the timeline. It was very funny because when I started to put together this documentation, I found that there are these 10 years of periods which are called phases. And this is a Kitchen Budapest Media Lab. I just put it there. It's interesting because Gáspár I don't know where he is, but he mentioned this live coding thing. And this is a live coding event when I was coding visuals. So after university, I studied architecture at the University of Technology here in Budapest. And I was really open to all the supplement courses and disciplines which is not really architecture but can supplement it, like 3D, algorithmic design, film, photography, media, all these things. So I really tried to force myself to find these solutions and go to these workshops, do these courses, extra things that are kind of maybe can widen my skill set and were kind of interesting for me to somehow put this new knowledge into the regular architectural process. It's you have to know that at the Budapest University of Budapest University of Technology, there are like, I don't know, hundreds of people finishing every year. So it's more like very little collaboration and space for collaboration, and it's like a mass creation. So I really wanted to find unique ways to get along. And after that, still in my period of the studying university, I applied to Kitchen Budapest, which was a media lab here in Budapest. Actually, a lot of people here are kind of connected to this place. And there it was a kind of new era because it's opened up so many possibilities, and I actually could look into what media design and creative technology and all these such things are actually, and they exist. So that was really a nice phase. That was 10 years from 2004 to 2014, and the next phase, 2014 to 2024, maybe that's the right. So that's the collaboration expansion period when with two of my colleagues from Kitchen Budapest, we found this Sorcerer with the aim to continue this idea of working together and how this lab was a new entity. And then I got affiliated with the MoMA Tech Lab and with the Innovation Center at MoMA later in the years. So that's the phase 2. Phase 3 will be coming. Okay, so projects. So all my work in the last 10 to 15 years are based around projects, which is really good definition because it has an end. This is really good because you started, it has a deadline, a project has a budget, it's usually 1 to 3 months long, optimally 1 month long. And I just calculated that in the last 10 years there were around 100 interactive or media design projects I somehow contributed to, which is kind of a lot. And through these years, the aim was to bring new technologies and new solutions from this art and tech scene to cultural venues, to the cultural life. Okay, so to bring new technology and solution to the cultural scene, that was kind of an aim, because most of the projects were created for museums, exhibitions, and theaters, dance performances, or just general performances. So really to the cultural scene, mostly here in Hungary, but internationally also. And it was really a lucky period because on one hand, there was kind of an expansion in the digital museum solutions. So all the museums were interested in new solutions and bringing digital technology into their exhibitions. And also, it was quite, I don't know how lucky, but it was a really big trust from the museums and from these institutes that they were quite open to explore this new partnership with digital technology. They had no experience. They saw some things, for example, abroad, or they had some knowledge about coming from, for example, computer games or visual inspiration and such, but they really were quite open to collaborate, and it was a big trust from their side to let us full freedom, I can say. So it was really a lucky period that all these installations were kind of a co-creation, a collaboration, but it had a really nice flow, that it was kind of free. We could come up with ideas, what we want to achieve visually, technically, what hardware we would use, and then these institutes were quite friendly and open for collaboration, like in conceptual wise and budget wise also sometimes, sometimes not. So, and in this period, I found that there's two kind of installations which were suitable for a museum environment or to a exhibition. One of them is so-called, or we call it, or I call it, functional, which is like a classic interface where you somehow transmit data to the audience, and it's a content-focused installation. You usually see these touch screens and such panels, which is like, it could be a good solution if the content can use these digital canvases or digital spaces. But on the other hand, there's another aspect or another direction, which is more like focusing on user experience. So to tell stories or convey topics to the audience through experience, through their, in a more poetic manner, for example, or through a more lyrical aspect, through visuals, audio, and also their presence can also be added to these interactions or to these experiences. So this is the two edges or two sides of these installations, and these experiential installations are really interesting because they can give a deeper understanding to the people who are in them or using these installations, and they can choose how much they want to interact with it, or how deep they want to dive, and how much information they want to learn or want to get out of this piece. So it's kind of scalable, and it gives a new experience to the audience. Okay, so all these installations in this manner are quite unique. So there was kind of a rule not to use the same thing or same technology again and again. So always try to find the technology to the topic, find the best or most interesting visual language, code, engine, etc., etc. So not constrain ourselves to start from the technology. Always start from the visual idea or from the concept, and then find the best solution to it, which is in budget, which can, for example, run real-time visuals, etc., etc. So all these constraints come after the concept and visuals. Okay. Yeah, and now I will talk about the project. The first one, which is very, very old. I just found it on my hardware, which is called Analog Visualizer from 2009. I was still at university. And it's quite interesting and important installation for me, because this was the one I created at the university, and then I applied to this Kitchen Budapest Media Lab with this installation when I got accepted. So I just revisited it and recut a little video just for you for today. But before I go into it, so this was the device. So the analog object, actually, the topic was time. So time coming back here, temporality. So we had tasked to create something which somehow visualize time or can communicate time. And my idea was, okay, time, how can I stop the time? How can I show the time? So it's not a photography, but okay, I need light. Okay, how I can capture light? Let's capture light and use something to call it like, okay, this in this box I have something stored, something logged up, and that's time. That's a temporality, or just a fixed point in time, or something like this. And the idea was like the kaleidoscope system, but I wanted to let the reality, the real life, inside the kaleidoscope. So this box on one end has one hole, so you can look out through it, and on the other side you have a little hole, you can look into the box. And the tricky part is that all the sides are mirror, but not only the sides, but the parts where this short size where the hole is mirrored as well. So as you look into this little hole, you see refracted light all around this object, and kind of the light is trapped in it, because on one side you see what's coming in, and it's just bouncing around in this object. And I found that these are shots through this object. So it was really interesting how this small device with really little idea can create these patterns and create this beautiful imagery. And later on, 2 years later, this object actually was like 5 by 10 centimeters, so quite small. And you could just look into it and turn around, and it was like a fascinating experience. And then I built a bigger one just for recording video. And this is the video. I hope I can start. Okay. Can you lower the volume a bit? So the idea was here that I went to some locations in the city which I felt crowded enough or interesting that time, and recorded what this little device can see through its lens. Another addition, that these caps on this little block can be turned around, and so each of these little hole can be adjusted. So there are different adjustments in this one piece. It's like 4 on both sides, so you can look through directly on these holes, and then you can turn it. It will have a different effect as light is reflecting on different sides. And when there's movement, it really comes to alive. So it was really, I was really happy with this outcome of this installation of this little device.
Mikor jött ide jó neked? Adok még egy-két órát.
And I hope everyone can guess what that big yellow thing was in the background. The hole on this object was so small that I had to use I don't know, 60 or 80-year-old lens on a Canon camera just to be able to look into this box. So that was also a nice research. Okay, so that was a frame. Okay, let's go on. Okay, so newer projects. This is that was created for the Szentendre Open Air Museum, which is called Skansen. They opened the new Transylvania region, and the task was to create 22 installations, and it was a really fun job. It took like 1.5 years. But what I told about this trust and freedom, we really got that from Skansen, and we could really work with a great variety of technology and formats and come up with kind of any idea what we want to achieve or how we want to communicate topics they are interested or important for them in their exhibition. It was really good work because the curation was quite high quality. They have been preparing this exhibition for more than maybe 10 or more years, so there was material, too much material, which is the better situation than you can imagine than nothing. This is just an overview. So, okay, this is not that interesting. It's just so many buildings were new buildings were built up, and each building hosted a different topic, a different curator, and a different approach needed. And in time, they were kind of apart from each other. So this whole process, that's why it was like so long, because as buildings built and all the curation are finishing up, we could jump to the next project. Of course, this was kind of a big collaborative work. So from this Skansen work, I will show some installations which are, I think, important. This one is the flip dot wall. Flip dot displays, maybe you know. It's like this like in train stations used to be, and little flips which are magnetically controlled. So it has two positions, 0 and 1, and there's kind of a comeback of this device because it's quite interesting, and it can be used to picture any content actually. And there's a big flip dot wall now there in one of the houses. It's like 9 meters long by 2.5 maybe, or 2.2. And also the topic was very interesting because it's about the Saxon buyouts. I don't think anyone knows much about this topic, but it's really interesting. It's about the Ceausescu era in Romania, that they kind of sold German Saxons to the Western Germany. So every person who are Saxon ethnicity or culturally had a price based on their education or their age and all these categories. And it was kind of a non-official buyout, but hundreds of thousands of people were bought out from their location, from their cultural region, and transferred to Germany between the 70s, 80s. And this mechanical, it's kind of loud system was really, for us, it was like conceptually interesting to have this mechanical sound as how these buyouts, the monies, the German marks are going from Germany to Romania, how people are bought out. It's really had this chilling effect if you stand in this room. And the content is about this buyout, about symbols, Saxon symbols, and Saxon stories and imagery. And this image in the side is just a little fun part where we could put this cellular automata, what Ágoston told about, one of the images, so they dissolve through this algorithm. This is another project which is quite interesting, a LED coloring chest at the so-called homorodalmas community or house. It has a quite big community and cultural heritage of chest painting. So this installation is about, you can color in these painting symbols or these chest decoration symbols, and through scanning it, it will appear on a box, on this chest, a LED chest, in the same space. And it's kind of a collaborative work. So you go there, or your kids, you color in, and then as visitors together create this big chest with significant symbols and ornaments. Okay, this is another important project for me, which is Károly Kós, famous architect, who was working really well in Sepsiszentgyörgy. He had like more than 20 buildings there, or used to have, and this installation was dedicated to him and showcasing his architecture in Sepsiszentgyörgy. And how it was approached. So we got all the plans of all the buildings he ever built to Sepsiszentgyörgy, like architectural plans. They were modeled and rendered and created. And with the spinning disc, so this is the installation on the right side. It's kind of old drawing machine architects used to. Actually, I used one of these, so it's not that old, but architects usually use these kind of drawing machines to draft. So this was the installation setup. It was a screen built in, and there was these discs which you could put on the little hole, and as the system recognized the disc you put there, it opens up that building. You can spin it, turn around, look from all the sides, because we have it in 3D, and you can explore all the buildings which are currently existing there or already demolished. And this is a video. I think this is I don't know, should I show it?
In the town you can find a post office with the
okay, so I show this. These are all the installations of like
internet and telephone.
80%. This is a Morse code system where
use the working original telegraph game in which two players can decode the message only by cooperating.
So it's a cooperation-based game, Morse code for kids at a post office with two old
the architect designing
layers.
The lawyer's home was
This is the one I just described.
Representative of the national style. Visitors can discover his plans building up in front of our eyes. In the lawyer's house, a vivid cultural life was going on. The owner even welcomed the famous Hungarian composer Béla Bartók, who gave a concert in town. The multimedia installation combines the original soundtrack of Béla Bartók together with visual creatives and generative visuals using authentic objects.
So this video was created for a competition, a museum competition, which the museum won in the end.
Was part of urban life. The seemingly secretive societies are represented on the basis of historical research, displaying positive effects and negative connotations as well. With the help of their register, we show how they worked and networked, while the last installation helps to discover large life. The exhibition about Transylvanian population change includes a projected data visualization with which statistics of more than 100 years become visible.
This is about the cultural diversity.
One exhibition reflects on the rich folk culture by displaying old painted furniture. However, we think that you can always reinterpret traditions, motifs and practices of the past, so there is an LED chest displaying the patterns colored and scanned by visitors. Discover objects and stories by peeping through the window.
It was a quick 3D scan of the environment inside the room where audience cannot go in, only look inside, so they can explore the things through the window from outside. This is the room.
Discover life stories on the display.
This is an interesting project because it was like 3 or 4 years ago, and it uses we used AI technology back then, which is now kind of a joke because you can get these effects like in 1 second, but back then it needed a kind of research how to colorize and animate images through AI.
Minority was that of the Saxon community, who has almost totally disappeared by now. In the indoor exhibition, recalling their history and culture, there is a digital content on a flip-dot display where messages alternate with folk motifs, evoking the disappearing traditions and the process of buying out Saxons. The Unitarian Church is a central building and represents the only Hungarian established Christian religion. Churches were crucial in surviving for the communities. If they were destroyed, communities could be damaged, and if they were strong, they contributed to the growth of faith. The light installation focuses on sacred elements, which have to persevere,
these flooded churches in Transylvania, kind of bringing this image back, how this flooding, dissolving culture. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next interesting project created for MOME University last year. This is quite important to me because it's finally architecture again, and it was last year for the doctoral school's anniversary event. It was really interesting because there were 3 topics needed to put into the main lobby space of the university, and it was a really interesting process with the doctoral school. I really felt like I'm back at the university. I mean, when I was younger, because it was consultation, a lot of consultation with people who are really at their top of their profession, and yeah, so it was a really fun project. And this is the plan. It was 2 objects which was put into this kind of flow of the main hall. From the right to the left, there is a constant movement in space, and it was a special material you see on the left, which is like a refurbished, or yeah, let's call it refurbished material from plastic bottles and plastic these Tetra Pak, I don't know what's the name, boxes. So the installation was a 3-part. One of them was this LED wall, where there were quotes from doctoral students and previous doctoral students, and were already doctors. And there was this cabinet which holds 96 of these doctoral theses, and there was the video installation as well, where 25 doctoral students are talking about their experience while they were studying there. And some of the images. This was this thesis container or box, where there was a kind of a data visualization. You can choose whose thesis you want to read, and appropriate door will light up, and you can open it up, and the thesis is actually in there, and you can read it. And these were the video installations, kind of a talking head installation with this interesting art direction. Actually, the heads were not talking. It was a video installation, and the sound part, the audio, was under it separately. I cut this yesterday just for you. So it's quite raw, but you can get the idea how it worked. So there were movement sensors among the sides, as you see. Someone passing by, it's like spinning all these texts, all these gibberish, and revealing readable text out of it. If someone stands for a longer time, there is a quote coming in English or in Hungarian. And also there are these ASCII art versions of the talking heads appear time to time at places where usually less people walk. So it has a constantly moving, interesting, typo-based visual, which reflects to movement. This is the video installation, where these talking heads appear with this duotone rendering overlaid on each other, and you can listen to what they think about their education or how or currently. So that was in one of these boxes of the 2. The other one was for this doctoral thesis. Here you see the same algorithm Ágoston said, showed about these moving patterns and cellular automata, like an idle screen. If you are not there, if you are there, you can search for books and theses. You can open up this drawer, and as you open up, this is created so the light is always also not outside, but gives some light for you to read the books or this thesis booklets. Okay, that was it. How am I? 8 minutes. Okay, I speed up. So this was created for Adapter. That's a new art tech center in Budapest. There's so-called welcome experiences created. It was more like So it's an interesting project because it has a limited budget and limited time to achieve this. So the idea was to create kind of situations like canvases or screens which can be later on content can be put on them, and all these screens kind of somehow get into connection with the space or with the surroundings of this venue in Buda. So quick video, 2 minutes, okay. This is actually Ágoston's work on a display in the window. So there's a big, this is a big LED column inside the space, which can program to have a touch interaction on it. There's on the wall back, you see a data visualization, which is coming through. This is a data visualization. There's a little potmeter interface which you can tune in, and it's a 1:1500 scale model of the district, or not the district, from this quarter, Bartók quarter, where there are 3 different type of visualizations at the moment. One of them is how far you can get on foot from this location, I mean from this adapter location. So 1 to 15 minutes, it's an idea of 15-minute city. This is about the age of the buildings, so you can, it's a more classical visualization. The color code is about the age of the buildings. So as you, this little potentiometer you use, you can jump in time and see when the quarter was built in actually. And yeah, okay, that's enough. Okay, and let's go on. This is the slit scan mirror, which is a project I try to continue since then. This is in one of the windows. It's with a screen and with a camera. So the installation is kind of affected by you as you watch this installation. It creates something like a mirror about you. And I have some videos. This is the second version, which was invited to collab with sound. So I have some video about it. So it's about temporality as well, like the first project. There is one little hole in this installation which shows reality, which shows the present. Everything else is the past, and all the pixels this little window sees are just pushed out of the screen constantly. And it has a repeating pattern. So this little cutout kind of randomly moving around, changing its size, position, and the whole installation is really affected by the viewer. So it's like a constant how they affect each other, the visual changes. And also there's a sound on it which very low now, but Bálint Katona was asked, and he created this great sound under it. And actually, the effect used here is called the slit scan effect, which is like hundreds of years old. I accidentally quit the presentation. Okay, I just move like this. Okay, so the slit scan effect is quite old, but I've been using it for some time just to, for example, this is a theatrical piece where dancers use it to have a large-scale visualization in the background of the scene or the piece. And I started to explore this even more. And now I have this version just to show what I'm working on now. Some versions built on the previous slit scan mirror installation. So how these little pushed pixels can distort reality, how the parts of reality appear, and how the distorted reality appears, somehow connected to me to the first analog visualizer installation. This is also a version, so I built up a system where you can kind of draw these panels which are distorted, and you can use colors to set up which parts are affected by this effect and which part are pushing pixels which direction. And there will be the final version in a sec. I have 4 more minutes, right? Or 2? 2 minutes. 2, that's just enough. Okay, and this is the new version about distorting reality. Maybe I can just jump in time a bit. Okay, this one. So this is using camera feed or a pre-recorded video and creating these distortion fields and direction fields through an algorithmic way. So it can generate these really interesting patterns where the content is kind of shifted. And if the content is video, so it's not static, it's even giving a new spin to the visuals, which you cannot really predict in advance what will happen. And I found this little bridge interesting because this pixel pushing, sorting effect usually have this linear imagery, and this bridge also has this, so it's really coming together to me, and the car's also quite interesting. Okay, and thank you for listening. That's not me dancing, but we can collaborate if you are interested.